say that you're happy for it to record. So now I've lost everybody's cameras as you come back on. Right, we're starting to come back now. So, and as this goes on, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat. But at the end, we will have an opportunity for questions. I've just got something for you to think about as we go through this. We are offering anybody on the webinar an opportunity to have a free 90-day trial of this platform afterwards. And also we do have an early adopter package which comes with discounts if you choose to continue after the 90-day free trial. So it's just something to think about as you're seeing it. If you really like to have a look at it, we can do another demo and we can set you up on the free trial. I have colleagues from Ninet with me as well, Chantel and Evie are with me, and also Martin and John from Tract. I'm going to hand over to Martin in a minute, who will take you through the product and the next part of the session. Okay, Martin, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, Karen. And I'll say welcome to everybody else as well, echoing Karen's words. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for taking the time. Really looking forward to showing you what we've been working on. Let's just get straight into it. There's quite a lot of functionality within the platform. We're going to try and keep it high level today, but at least give you an appreciation of the capabilities and the benefits that can be derived from that. I will go ahead and share my screen. Actually, Karen, the share screen button is currently grayed out for me. Apologies.
You now have the power.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. That should be coming through. I'm aware that on the call today we have not only schools, but we also have some multi-academy trusts. So the presentation today, we're going to focus on the outcomes of the platform, which are really focused on two areas. One is the full life cycle management of policies, the ones that you have to publish on your website. We're going to show you how we can manage that. But there's also credential, certification, professional qualification management, and we bring all of that into one easy to manage platform. I mentioned the kind of trust and school audience because I also want to show you how that looks from two different perspectives. We're going to start off with the individual school view, and then as we're waiting for perhaps some functionality to load later on, and you'll see what I mean by that, we'll quickly switch over to a trust view so you can see what that looks like in parallel. So here we are within the platform. I'm logged in as what we would call a school administrator, or a school business admin. Someone with, in practice, what that means is you've got full access to all the functionality within the platform, all of the data, so on and so forth. We're on the dashboard at the moment, and we get some high-level information about statutory policy coverage, policies that are due for review, users with unacknowledged policies. We've got credentials awaiting validation. So that gives you a clue as to what the platform is actually doing. What we're going to do is deep dive into those individual areas and explain how it all works. Navigation at the top, I'm going to go ahead and click on schools, and I've got School A here, just a demonstration platform. But where I've landed is my school workspace. And within the platform, this is where we're going to manage everything from our policies, our users, staff members in the school, setting up automatic notifications. We do, as I mentioned, the full life cycle management of the policy. So that includes publishing it to the website and making sure that's all up to date, and tracking credentials as well. As I said, we'll start off with the policies section. So I'm going to click on Manage Policies here, and let's actually try and go through that full life cycle, so you can see how it works. So here's two that I've already created in here. I mean, we've got a data protection privacy notice. This has actually been set up by the trust, And that actually gives you a clue as to how the trust management piece works as well. You can actually set up policies centrally and push them out to schools as required that are within that academy trust. And then we've got an admissions arrangement policy here, which is set up by the school itself. Now, we appreciate in practice this may not look like a you may not kind of mix and match. You may not have a trust and a school independent policy set up within the platform, but again, we wanted to show you both angles today. Let's go ahead and click on new policy. So we're uploading the policies here, and imagine we're creating the policy for the first time, or perhaps being onboarded onto the platform, and it's a very straightforward process. In terms of those policy templates, we've got a full kind of defined list of the statutory policies that DofE actually publish on their website that are actually required, and we upload policy documents against these particular requirements. Of course, you're not limited by this list. You can actually upload other documents. We've actually had some schools say, and institutions say, well, can you manage things like risk assessments in here, and can you push those out to staff members and get them all acknowledged, so on and so forth. And that is absolutely doable within the platform as well. So there is some, of course, flexibility, but again, today we're focused on the policies themselves. I'm going to go ahead and set up a school complaints policy. We go ahead and select a responsible person in the school. I'm going to select my own username here. We have a optional responsible implementer, so again supporting perhaps different approaches, different operational methods within various schools. I'll go ahead and select the same username here. Selecting the next review date, so Tract is actually going to keep track of those important review dates. It's going to use these dates to send reminders, to automatically assess policies, track your coverage, are you compliant on time, so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and we'll select the end of this month for that one, and then the last review date, I'll just pick an arbitrary date here, we'll go for a couple of days ago. Uploading the actual file. Okay, so here's some I made earlier. Here's a complaints procedure, and that's now uploaded. There are two important options down here. One is display on the website, one is allow feedback from staff. Display on the website is going to define whether that document is actually public. Those are the ones that you actually want to display on your website. You can hook them up to your website through the platform as well. If you leave that blank, then it's not going to be public. So there may be some documentation internally, policies that you don't want to display on the website that you want to keep private, so you can very much do that. Allow feedback from staff. This is quite crucial from an implementation standpoint. One of the parts of the life cycle that we manage is very much implementing the policies across our staff base. It's not just having the documents in place, it's not just storing the documents, but making sure every single member of staff relevant to the policy actually understands that particular procedure. And one way of course, demonstrating implementation, of course, we keep track of the sign-offs, the acknowledgements, and you'll see in a moment as well that staff members can log in and they can see the policies that they have due for review. But you can actually collect feedback from staff as well. So if they've got some comments on a particular policy, maybe the terminology isn't easy to understand, or maybe there's a suggestion for an addition, you can collect that again all within the same platform. And we also leverage that for some AI features later on. Let's go ahead and click both of those, and we'll go ahead and create that policy as well. Okay, so now that we've created the policy, we've drilled down into the specific policy functionality. And there's a few things that we can do in here. Notice that we've got version 1, which is currently in draft. The fact that we track versions, that again gives you a clue. We're tracking the full version history of every single policy. We can track how it was implemented, what changes were made, and we can push different versions out as well. So we've got that full version control already within the platform. I'm going to go ahead and publish as live. And the difference between draft and publishing as live, because we clicked this is going to be displayed on the website. Now that it's live, that is the version that is going to be used. Of course, if you were creating a new version, if you were going for a review cycle, version 2 would appear as draft. That wouldn't be downloadable on the website. It wouldn't be visible on the website until you publish that as live, and then version 1 becomes retired effectively. Okay, so that's our version control there. Let's look on the right-hand side here. We've got a few features. Policy effectiveness, first of all. I'm going to click on Run Check here. We actually leverage AI to do an assessment, an automatic assessment of the policy, the text that has been uploaded. We actually compare that to what is expected from that policy as defined by the DofE. And we can see here that we've got a score, 52 out of 100. It gives us a summary, but it also gives us some recommended gaps. So we could actually address these in future versions. Okay, so there's a few there that we could potentially deal with, but of course we have the opportunity to review those, and we can make a decision as to whether that's appropriate for our school or our trust. Okay, I'm going to skip over AI drafting for now. We'll come back to that. I do want to talk about the assignments, because, as I said earlier, we talk about implementing the policy across our staff base. That's definitely something that we want to track, and if we're audited, we can actually demonstrate that data as well. Excuse me. So here's a version to assign. We can select version 1. Notice how we can assign to either an individual user or a user group. Within the platform, you have the opportunity to set up user groups. Think of that like a mailing list, so it just makes it really easy to assign policies to staff members. Perhaps you've got a Senko group, or maybe there's the leadership team that needs to review a specific policy. Or if you want to send a policy out to all staff members, you can create those user groups. We've also got functionality that operates behind the scenes here. So if you've got new staff members who join and they become part of a user group, then the system will automatically detect that they haven't been assigned a particular policy, and it will automatically send that policy out to them for review. So it also supports your onboarding processes in terms of new staff members. I'll just select an individual user for now. We can search for, again, myself here. We can apply a due date or a deadline for reviewing that policy. I'll set the end of the month, and I'll assign that particular policy. That user is going to receive an email automatically from the platform, and there's going to be links in there. They're going to be able to click on that link, log into the platform, and I'll show you what it looks like for a school user in a moment. Notice here we've now got one person assigned, 0% acknowledged, and we've got reporting around that as well. This means that we're tracking the implementation of the policy, who's actually acknowledged it, and if we've got if Ofsted want to see how policies have been implemented, for example, we can just click on that, and then we get a full audit history, a full audit report that's very easy to demonstrate. So that's the implementation. And then from a profile perspective, I've just clicked on profile at the top here. This is what a staff member would see typically. They wouldn't see all the other options at here. They wouldn't necessarily be able to see the management of the policies unless you give them access, incremental access. But by default, most users will have access to this. And notice here that we've got policies awaiting acknowledgement. And here's that school complaints policy that we just created and signed. We have the option to acknowledge the policy. We can provide feedback. If there are multiple versions, the system will automatically generate a change summary as well. So rather than reviewing the entire document, we can actually just see bullet points of, this is what changed, this is what's been updated, can you acknowledge those updates? So it actually saves time as well from an implementation perspective. It makes it an easier, I guess, administrative task for a staff member to actually acknowledge that policy. They can view the policy at any point. That's going to open a link with that live document, and they'll be able to see the text. So that's all collected in one place as well. And of course, the user gets a summary of what's in progress, what's been acknowledged. They're going to receive reminders if they haven't actually acknowledged a policy yet as well. So that's all fully automated. As soon as something is actually assigned, it's fully automated in terms of managing that implementation process. Okay. Now let's go back to that policy itself. back through the workspace, and let's click on school complaints. And what I'm going to do now is let's go to the next stage in that life cycle, and imagine we're going through a review process and we need to create a new version. Let's say we've collected some feedback from our users where we've implemented it, and we've of course got all of these gaps. Now, traditionally, you'd probably start drafting a new policy straight away. You'd have to write that by hand, maybe take a copy of the existing one and start editing, so on and so forth. What we have the opportunity to do within the platform is draft a new version with AI. Now, this process takes up to a couple of minutes, but I'll explain what it's actually doing. It's taking these gaps as context, it's taking the existing policy as context, and it's also looking at the latest guidance from the DOB. And through all of that, it's going to create a new draft automatically for you to review. And that new draft version 2 is going to appear up here when it's ready. Not only is it going to create that text, but if you saw earlier, if I go back to the school workspace, you'll see here that we've got a policy cover kind of Word template. So you've got the opportunity as a school or a trust to upload your own policy templates in terms of the styling, you know, logos on the front, the structure. And once that's set up, when AI is actually drafting new versions, it's going to use that particular template. So again, that's more about the time saving. It's dropping all of that text into that particular template. So it's almost ready for you to review. You can make a few edits, and then when you're ready, you can publish that as live. And you can see here we've got that new draft. We can view that document if we want to, and when we're ready, we can publish as live. And then, of course, we can go through that assignment procedure again. We can rerun the check if we want to, and that's going to look at the latest version. And then we should see an improvement in scores here, of course, based on the gaps that we identified and the latest guidance. So that's now gone to 96 out of 100. So we've improved our policy as well in terms of the items, the information that it should cover, and our procedures. So that's that full life cycle there. I did talk about website links as well. So if I click on website links in the policy section, what we do with Interact is we provide you with a static URL that you can effectively embed into your website. And what that means is if anybody clicks on that link when they're visiting your website, that's just going to download the latest live version of that policy. So again, in practice, what does that mean? Rather than you having to upload new versions to your website, you can manage it all centrally here. The link never changes; it just uses the latest version. So again, you know, that's quite efficient in terms of the overall management. So that's policy. That's the policy lifecycle. I did promise a view of what it would look like for a trust as well. So I've just switched over to effectively what is a trust admin here. Landed on the dashboard, more or less the same layout. We've got a bit more information in terms of, you know, statutory coverage by school, so we can see all of the schools that we're managing within that trust. And if I drill down into my trust workspace, notice how we've got, you know, the ability to upload, you know, templates again for AI to leverage when it's drafting new versions. We can manage trust users, we can manage trust policies, credentials, notifications, all in the same way. If I go into trust policies and click on new trust policy, again, it's largely the same setup. You've got the opportunity to select target schools and then push the policy out to those schools that you're managing centrally. Okay, so that's a quick view of what it looks like for the trust. Okay, let's to the school workspace now. And let's take a look at the credential side of things, the professional qualifications. Okay, so as a school admin, if I go to the credentials reporting here, or the credentials space, I've got the opportunity to do a couple of things. I mean, first of all, I can view all of the credentials that are on record within the school. So I've got some DBS checks here, for example, against these two users. The way that we manage credentials within Interact, you can do this a couple of ways. staff members can actually log in themselves and they can add the credentials that they have. They can upload evidence that they've completed that credential, or perhaps they've been through that DBS check, whatever it might be. Or you can have a staff admin add credentials on behalf of somebody else. You can also assign credentials to people. So maybe someone wants to go and do some additional learning, go and get a new qualification. Yeah, that they can do that. Here's record a credential. You can see the types of credentials that we track. Notice how everything's from a predefined list. So this means that in terms of the data that's stored within the platform, it's all consistent, it's consumable, it's usable. So we've got, there's the usual credentials here that you'd expect to see. So I can select this one, continue. Okay, and then I can actually save those changes. So I can enter an earned, issue date, expiry date. If there's a reference number, certificate number, I can enter that as well. And here's that evidence that I was talking about. We actually leverage AI to read the evidence and just check that it aligns to the data that's been entered. Does it look like an official certification evidence file, so on and so forth. But we can store that very much within the platform. As I said, that's available from the school admin level, or for individual users, if they go into their profile, they can add credentials here very quickly, very easily. Notice that we've got a status, so that's how we differentiate between perhaps some incremental learning that's been assigned versus something that might have actually been verified, validated by AI, or validated by a staff member. So with all of that together, I mean, what does that actually mean in practice? It means that you've got all your credentials in one place as well, everything verified. You've got a digital repository of all of the evidence in one place, and effectively one-click reports. If someone wants to see credentials that are on record, you can click a report, and then that's just going to give you the full list. And it just makes it very, very easy, very quick, and I guess more importantly, establishes that confidence that everything is being tracked within one place. Okay. So that actually concludes the demonstration component of the webinar. I believe I'll now hand back to either Karen or Chantel to handle questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. John, did you want to come in with anything? No? Okay.
No, no, sorry. I am here. No, I'm good, Karen.
Okay.
I would like to open the floor up to questions from our audience based on what they've seen, and also perhaps feedback.
Does everybody think it looks like something they might be interested in? Thumbs up, I do. Oh, they're all very quiet. They're all very quiet. Okay, right. We've shown you the product. We've shown you what it can. Oh, we've got a thumbs up. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, so we've shown you product. We've shown you what it can do. Oh, we've got a question from Neil. Yeah, do you want to go ahead, Neil? Take your you can take your mute off if you wish.
Thank you. Just wondering, the templates, are they automatically uploaded, the North Yorkshire normal templates for all the policies? Are they automatically there as a templates, or do we have to upload those ourselves to the templates, then add the AI element into it? Or that's what I'm just thinking of, because obviously at the moment we go heavily with the North Yorkshire templates for a lot of our policies. And is that going to be still the case? It's going to be sat there and we can just use that, or is it a bit more complex than that?
Great question. Go on, Karen. Sorry, you.
Got it. Yeah, we are looking at uploading the bank of North Yorkshire templates into the back end of the system, which schools can use. So those North Yorkshire templates will be there because obviously the North Yorkshire policies that you are using. So the decision will be yours as to whether to use that template or to use your own templates. But with the templates, you can put your own logos on and that sort of thing. So that feature is there as well. So you could have your own school logo on front, and the version, and the title of the policy. That's right, isn't it, Martin?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
What I'd also add is, I mean, in terms of the implementation and getting it set up, we obviously want to get you to a point where you're leveraging the automation as quickly as possible, and it's, of course, it's in our interest to make sure that it's not a painful process to actually get the platform set up. So we've thought very hard about that. Obviously, as Karen said, and to your point and your question, Neil, making sure that we're leveraging the existing templates from North Yorkshire Council, but also if you do want to leverage your own templates, we've designed an implementation process where we can actually support you with uploading your own templates as well. So we can handle that process as well. We can support you, and then effectively away you go.
Great, thank you very much. I also just trying to work through while you were doing the demonstration there, in terms of like safeguarding training each year, the annual basic awareness training. We do declaration around, have they read Keeping Children Safe in Education? I mean, that seems quite straightforward. They just say they've read Keeping Children Safe in Education, those kind of things. But in terms of training, I was just trying to see, would it be easy to, I noticed some of the credentials there had different levels of training. I'm thinking I saw Prevent on there. But is it quite easy for staff to see and for us to basically do a run to see who hasn't completed the documents, who hasn't completed their safeguarding training in September or that? Is it all easy to sort of see a report on that as well?
It is, absolutely. So what I'd recommend in that kind of scenario is you'd of course allocate out that training or assign that training on an annual basis. And there's automation rules that we can introduce there as well. And then at the senior level in the school, you'd be able to see all of those assignments. You'd be able to see the current status of that training, whether it's been completed, and you'd be able to see evidence around that as well. Because in that list of credentials, we're just like with the policies, the list of policies, we're not limited to that particular credential list. We can quite easily add more. You can add your own. And you'd be able to see the status of that very easily, one-click reports again. So, sorry, long way of saying yes.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Any more questions? Oh, we got one that's come up in. Oh, what's the cost? We knew we'd get this question. So there is it depends on how many users, and there is a primary version. So we're talking about a base price of about 300 and then £15 per user on top of that. That's per annum. There is an implementation fee at £250, and then there is support per year at £250. So the implementation fee is just a one-off. But if you are really interested in the early adopter program, we can give you a discount of 25% off that with free implementation, and then also there would be 25% off that for the next 3 years as well. So, but if you want to send me an email, I can do you a proper quote on it, so you can see what it looks like for you as a school. No worries. Thank you, Annika. John, you've put your hand up.
Yeah, I just thank you for that, Karen. I just also wanted to remind everybody that at this moment in time, there is the 3-month free trial.
Oh yes, sorry, I forgot about that bit. Sorry.
So in effect, actually, if after the 3 months it was something that you decided that you wanted to do, you are in effect getting a 15-month license for it. And of course, that 90-day 3-month trial, there are no commitments on your part. The whole idea behind that is that you have the opportunity to start using it within your organization. It may not be throughout everything and every policy and every credential, but it gives you the ability to be able to make a decision on whether you think it is appropriate for you based on a usage rather than several demonstrations. Thanks, Karen.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much to Martin and John, and thank you, Martin, for the presentation. As I say, you know where me and Sarah are. If you want to send us a message and want to ask us anything, or if you'd like anything clarifying, we will send you the recording and an email of sort of outlining what you've seen today. And we'd also like to sort of just touch base with you to see if you'd like a demo. Absolutely no pressure, but as John says, there is the 3 months, the 90-day trial of the platform, if you'd like to have a look at that. If you feel it's something you're really interested in and you would like us to do a demo to anybody else in the school or the leadership or something like that in the school, then that is not a problem at all. We're here to support you, and if you really want to have a good look at this, then we can support you through that. So at this point, I will say thank you for your time and have a lovely evening, and goodbye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.